In this video, I'll show you how to use the iPad app Sketches to draw a picture of the Pokémon Ditto. Once you open the Sketches app, you'll notice that on the left side there are a bunch of different tools. So if you click on that tool, you'll be able to use them. And here are some examples of the drawing and painting tools. So you'll want to kind of go through them and pick the one that you think you will want to use for your task. The square one that says eraser is an eraser. If you click it twice, it'll give you an option to erase the whole picture. Or you could click on your eraser and change the size of the eraser and erase it yourself. If you click on the downward arrow on the top, it'll give you an option to place a picture from your iPad onto your paper. So I'm just putting it in the corner right there so that I can look at it while I draw. And I like that brush tool, so I selected that and I'm trying to draw the shape of the Ditto. Now if you don't like the shape that you drew, or if you want to change anything, you can always click on the arrow on the left top corner and that will go back one step. Here I'm using the eraser tool to kind of smoothen out that bump on the outline. And remember that you can change the size of your eraser on the bar on the right side. The tool with a bunch of little dots gives you an option of filling a space or making shapes. So here I'm going to fill the shape of Ditto, selecting the purple color on the right bottom square and then clicking on the space to fill. I also did the same for the background with that dark blue color. Using that same tool with the little dots on them, you can also create shapes. So here I selected the circle for Ditto's eyes. I put one right there. And I'm doing another one for the right eye, changing the size by pinching the screen. And I noticed that I didn't pick the right color. So I picked the black and I clicked on the eyes to fill them in with the right color. Now I'm kind of testing out a few options for the mouth. Selected the color I want and I used the marker tool to draw the shape of the mouth. I also like to make a little white dot inside of the eye to make it kind of look sparkly. So I'm using smaller circles and putting it inside of the eyes. The next thing I'm going to do is try to make the Ditto a little bit shiny looking because Dittos are made of kind of slime materials. So I used a smaller paintbrush shape and I'm adding highlights. Highlights are those lighter parts in your picture that make things look shiny where the light is hitting. I'm also going to change the brush size to a bigger one and make some lighter spots that you see on the reference image as well. It's going to look a little bit blotchy right now, but later we're going to smooth it out, so that's not going to be a problem. I also changed the brush to a darker purple and now I'm adding the shadow areas. Again, it's going to look blotchy, but that's okay. We're going to switch to that pencil that has diagonal lines on it. That is your smooth tool. So if you go over the blotchy paint and kind of smooth it with your finger, it's going to blend it together so that looks a little bit more natural. So now it's nice and blended, but my highlight areas kind of disappeared. So I'm going back to the brush tool with the white and I'm putting back some of the highlights in there so that it looks shiny again. Now that I'm done with the foreground Ditto, I'm going to work on the background. Here I forgot what color I used to color the original background, so I painted the whole thing again. I painted over the reference image of the Ditto so that's not there anymore. And I kind of blended it so that it looks like a flat background. For the background, I decided to use the airbrush tool to kind of make those splatters in a few different colors. If you go back to the tool with the mini dots, it'll give you an option to add a text if you click on the A on the right side. So I typed Ditto, the name of the Pokemon, I twisted it and placed it on the background and moved it to the area that I wanted it to be. You can also use that same tool to place some shapes. So I clicked on that and clicked on the shape tool on the very bottom right. I selected hearts and you just drag it onto the area that you wanted it to be. When you're finished, you're going to click on the dots on the top of the page, click on the arrow that's pointing up, and save image. That's going to save that picture onto your iPad. Then you'll open your Artsonia app, type in your first name, click on your name, add art, project name, and then click on import on the bottom of the screen and hit camera roll. And then you'll go to all photos and find the picture that you just downloaded. Crop your image by moving the dots on the side. And then add the title of your work. Here I'm just going to put Ditto. And then make sure that you write a artist statement. There's some sentence starters here. You can use those or make up your own. But make sure to make meaningful sentences and write at least as many numbers of sentences as your grade level. When you're finished, hit submit. Make sure you hit home, log out for the next person. And now you have an image of Ditto in your Artsonia portfolio.